Welcome, welcome. This is Gull, your money mindset expert. And once again, we have the amazing, the beautiful, the charming Lorelei Kenny. Welcome, Lorelei. Oh, Lorelei,
Th-
as I like to call you.
Well, hello, and thank you for having me again. It's such a pleasure and a treat. I'm just so honored and grateful to be here with you and
Thank,
have a little chat.
thank you so much. We had such a fantastic conversation on Friday Feature, but once again, and people have heard how amazing you are, Lorelei. So tell everybody in your own words what it is that you do.
Well, I get to help people take care of their finances. And two of the steps in doing that is eliminating their debt, if there is any, and the majority of people have that issue, and set up a nest egg for themselves. And if anybody has not heard that term, that just means that they're putting money away, they're investing for the future so that they're able to do things when they're not working their 9 to 5 or whatever it is that they're working at.
Wonderful. And so today we're talking about the 5 keys to abundance. So let's get straight into this, Lorelei. What is the first key to abundance?
Well, this was something I had to learn the hard way, like many of us. I had to learn to love myself first, take care of me, just like the stewardess always tells you on the plane to put our own oxygen mask on first before we can take care of other people, because we can't give from an empty cup.
Yep.
So that was really interesting for me because I grew up being the nurturer, looking after other people, and that was my trait itself anyway. But once you're a mother, the kids come first all the
Yeah,
time.
all the
And as
time.
a Grammy, which I adore being a Grammy, um, they're kind of shoved farther ahead. So it was really interesting to me that I had to learn that on my own. It seems so simple, but I had to. And my son could not believe it when they had their first grandchild. He thought I was going to quit financial planning and run to Fredericton, which is 45 minutes to an hour each way every day, and babysit. And I said, I've got news for you. That's not happening. It was too funny because he said, but you've always said you wanted to be a grandmother before you were a mother. And I said, that's so true. But that doesn't mean it's that I'm doing that. It's my time for me to enjoy my life and do what I want to do for a change. So for me, that was my first goal. I seems
Wow.
so simple to other people, but women seem to understand that a lot more than men do.
Yes. Oh my God. Absolutely. And love thyself, but not from a conceited,
Oh, no,
egotistical point of
no.
view, but from the unconditional loving yourself, from true unconditional love point of view. I love myself just because I am who I am. And I really like all my nooks and crannies and my imperfections and my
Mhm.
perfections, whatever you know how you wouldn't see it. The things about ourselves we love and things about ourselves we don't love, but we have to really accept ourselves in our totality of who we are. And of course we can work on improving ourselves, of course, but there's no denying that. We're constantly work in progress, but really loving ourselves, only then do we truly allow ourselves or feel worthy enough of for abundance. I think this is the key. So I'm glad you said that as a first key to abundance. So what's the second key then?
Well, this was interesting to me too, because I'm a very optimistic person. I, I attempt to be that way and see. I've been told that I go through life with rose-colored glasses on, and sometimes I need glasses because there are a lot of tears behind there that you try to hide and stuff. But it
Mm,
was interesting to me when it was pointed out to me. One, I didn't know how to accept a compliment,
mm,
and I didn't realize that
mm,
until people kept pointing it out to me. Oh, for God's sakes, Lordy, say thank you and move on.
mm,
They say, I love the way you dress. And I dressed in suits and dresses for work,
mm,
unless it was appropriate that for some people that I met, I didn't want them to feel out of place. I might dress down a little bit, but I love to dress up
mm.
because I didn't get to dress up as a kid. So I love doing that. And I would say, oh, this old thing? Oh, no, no, I've had this forever or whatever. Or if they compliment me on something else, I I didn't know to say thank you and smile and say, yes, I love it too, or thank you so much. I appreciate that you said that. I felt very awkward saying it.
Mm.
And as you teach us all the time,
Yeah,
that if we're not open to receiving any compliments, even, how are we open to receiving anything else?
exactly.
And what I found that for many years, I would say, well, I can't afford that.
Mm.
I'm never going to do that. No, not. Universe doesn't have a sense of humor. He
No, it
just
doesn't.
hears certain, the universe hears certain things. And so it was interesting. Probably, I don't know how many years ago I said, I've got to stop saying, I'm not going to do this. I'm never going to do that. Because lo and behold, I end up doing it.
Mm.
And I was aware that that was going on, but I didn't understand why.
Mm.
Or just saying, I can't afford this, to instead to say, well, that's not a priority right now. I can do that later on when I decide to. Right now, I've chosen something else. This is my way I'm going to do it. So I really had to work on that. And that was, may sound simple for some people, but there were certain words, and there's quite a list of words that I share with people. Somebody else, a lovely teacher by the name of Christy Whitman, has a free program, and I share that with people and say, follow this for 30 days and watch your words. And she explains what to say instead. And it's really eye-opening. I really, that, well, most people don't think that has anything to do with finances, but it has a lot to do with many other things, as you know.
Of course, it does. I mean, so let me understand what you're saying is the second key. Watch our words and see how we talk about money or talk about things about ourselves.
Anything,
Mm.
anything, not just money, but I really, especially with money, but it's
Mm.
just not even realizing that we're not being open to receiving, and we're not
Mm.
talking positive to ourselves, because we want to be in an abundant mindset, not a
Yes.
negative mindset.
Agreed. Agreed. I think this is truly a key to understanding what your internal dialogue is about everything. I always say how you do one thing is how you do everything. So if you don't believe you're good enough for the promotion, you're not good enough for money. If you're not good enough to receive compliments because you can't receive them, you cannot actually receive from the bottom of your heart, then you do not believe you're worthy of receiving money. As simple as that. So it's a way to understand your deep subconscious beliefs around about yourself, what you're worthy of, and who you are. And our words, our internal dialogue gives a clear indication of that. Not when we're busy trying to think positive, because we've read the book Think and Grow Rich, or the book by Bob Proctor, You Were Born Rich. It's those moments when we catch ourselves off guard, when we're doing something mundane, like driving a car or washing the dishes or something, that you catch yourself having this negative internal dialogue. You're like, huh? That's what I'm thinking about myself. That's not true. That's not how I want to think. And this is where first point is being aware of the fact that you are talking that way, because most people are not aware. By the way, 95% of the world's population is unaware that they are negatively talking to themselves about their lives and what they're creating in their lives. But once you become aware, then you have to change that internal dialogue. I think that's step two. So that's amazing. So that's key number two. So what's third key to abundance?
Well, it's I just going to show you a couple of tools that I did.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very much into upcycling, and that's more for the planet. It's not because I just wanted to, and I used to be proud of being frugal. And there's nothing wrong with that, but I realized that that's a more lack
Scarcity
mentality,
mindset. Yeah, it is. Yeah.
right? But what I did, I've had, because of my years in the
Mm.
cosmetic industry, they used to do nameplates for you for different things. So I took them, and as the first one you saw, and I put these around for myself. And
I love those. I
if I'm
love those.
having
Yeah.
an issue some days, I look over and say, Lorley, your success is just absolutely guaranteed. It's even written in the Bible.
You
It's
can't.
not, I don't put that on there.
Yeah, you can't.
How can you question that, right?
Yeah.
And the other one, if things aren't working out for me right now, just look at that and say, okay, what do I want? What would I love to have instead?
Mm.
and go back to your goals, which of course we're writing our goals all the time and being focused on them, because what we focus on, we
Grows.
become very aware of.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden it'll materialize. And
Yep.
this, especially this past year, the amount of things that I never thought was even on my radar would happen. And it's just been a wonderful, wonderful snowball effect of different things going, one leading to the other, to the other. Me on a podcast? That was never on my list of goals to do. And I do podcasts all the time now. And I even have people, Lorley, it's time you did one. I'm like, I need another job. Do I really? But you know what? I think it might happen. Now this time I do want to get into a little bit of something for a key thing that I want people to realize, that there is some things that they can put into practice. And to me, one of I love the laws of the universe. And Albert Einstein has told us that he considers compound interest should be classified as the eighth wonder of the world.
Yes.
And it was so interesting. I was fascinated, and I wish they taught this in school, because you could take from a certain age talking about how much money, little amount of money you would need to put away, and compounding it, what you would end up with. And it's just astonishing to start so young. And it's like, I do a 9% return. I don't do this foolish 12% rate of return on investments, because let's face it, that doesn't happen on a regular basis. When I got into the industry before, it was too funny, before the year 2000, I got in 1998. You could throw a dart at a board that had funds on it. In fact, they did this with a monkey, and throwing the dart. And I mean, we had tech stocks doing three-digit returns. I mean, one of them that doesn't even exist right now was doing 112% return per year. It was Nortel. Anyway, it was crazy what was going on. And of course, the bubble burst.
Yep, of course.
Happens. You know, you can't just go zoom like that forever, or everybody be doing it. So anyway, it was fascinating to me to think, like, I'll just give you, most 20-year-olds won't do this. But if you could get a 20-year-old to put $155 away a month, and did that till he was age 65, he's only put $83,000 plus away. But guess what? He's a millionaire. Like, that's not any amount of money at all. And if they do this for us in Canada, we do our RSPs, for a registered retirement savings plan. Different countries have different terms for it. We put money away, and based on your income, you can get a percentage back. Now, if you're really smart, and the average person probably in Canada right now is in a 45% income tax bracket. So if they put $1,000 away, they're going to get $450 back on income tax. That's less, $450 less that they have to pay on income tax. And there's a ratio that they're allowed to do. It's 18% of their last year's income, minus if they happen to be lucky enough to have a pension. Now, if they're really smart, and I will admit, we hardly ever did this, but if you're able to do this without any concern, you take back what you get back from income tax and reinvest that. And that makes it grow exponentially.
Yeah, of course. I mean, allowing investing every dime, every dollar into an investment fund, and allowing it to grow and compounding, that's when the magic happens. We're familiar with that.
Oh, yes. And it's a double-edged sword, this compounding, because the biggest elephant in the room for most people is the credit card debt.
Yes.
And it can grow so fast if you're not paying it off all the time. And I will admit that there's been times in my life that we've used credit card debt and not been able to pay it off the full amount every month. And I know I spend a lot more when I use my credit card than I do with cash. And it was interesting, many years ago, I used to be first I was so excited when I got a paycheck when I was a teenager, because I was like, this is money I can spend on myself. I can buy clothes, and I spent it all, absolutely every penny, but I spent it on clothes mainly and school supplies. And I had paid that part of my bill. I never asked my parents from the age of grade 8
Mm-hmm.
to pay for my school supplies or clothing. If they gave me something, that was wonderful, but I don't remember them doing it because there were so many behind us that needed
Yeah.
extra help. So to me, I thought I was helping out. But I remember my dad growling at me that I never had any money put away. He said, save half of what you earn. I'm like, I don't think you're doing that. There's no way you would have been able to do it. But it's like they say, do as I say, not as I do
Mm.
sometimes. Now, he went on later on in life to um, do exceptionally well in business,
Mm.
exceptionally well. So far, so much so that he hasn't worked in 33 years.
Mm.
And not many
Wow.
people could say that. But that is the big elephant in the room for most people, is the compounding interest on the credit card,
Okay.
unfortunately.
Yeah. So
And we're,
it can work in your favor or it can work against you, depending on you have to be aware of it. You
yeah,
can use it in your favor if you invest, but if you're
yeah,
using credit card debt, and especially if it's bad debt, you're not actually using it to, for funding your investments and so forth, then you are, I mean, there's a whole new the discussion. Then you are using the compounding interest against yourself, and you have to be very careful with that. So
yeah.
that's the third
That's
key.
number 4.
Oh, that's number 4. Sorry. Okay.
Four, yeah. Um, but I will just tell you a quick little story. And this was before I knew any amount of stuff
Mm.
whatsoever. Before I got into investments, my husband and I went to buy a house. And we can remember telling his parents and my parents, and his parents says, we're not giving you any money to put down on the house. And we're like, we weren't asking. We were just telling you we're buying a house.
Mm.
And they were like, oh, that's good. Because don't expect any money from us, because they knew what Ed made, and they knew that I wasn't working. I was at home with the 2 children. So they knew that we didn't have that much. But when we said what we had, the down payment, in fact, we had 25 houses were a lot cheaper back then.
Of
And where
course.
we lived, it was a lot cheaper. We actually had 25% to put down on our on our mortgage. And I think they almost fainted on that, because they knew, again, I still like to spend money, but I automated things so that we could do certain things. Anyway, we went to go to the bank, and the bank said, oh, you're here for a mortgage. Okay, 25-year mortgage is this amount of money.
Mm.
And I looked and I got really upset. I was like, oh my God, I had this vision that I've shared with you before, that I was not going to live past a certain age. And I wasn't at that age, but I was scared to death. So I was so upset I left the bank. So we had to make another appointment, go back in. So they started again. And I said, you can forget about that 25-year mortgage. There's no way I'm doing that. So I asked them what a 20-year mortgage was. And they went, well, we don't normally do a 20-year mortgage. I said, please just tell me.
Mm.
And they knew that we had a certain amount down, but they weren't even thinking that. Anyway, it's $5 more per month for the mortgage to go from 25 years to 20 years.
Oh, wow.
They didn't even look. So I sat there and I went, how much is it for 15-year mortgage? They went, no, Lordy, you can't handle that. No. It was $25 is all it was more per month. Now, we didn't have the tax bill and the insurance bill included in this bill. They
Mm.
didn't do that back then, which they do now.
Mm.
Anyway, I said to them, I said, what is it for 10-year mortgage? Oh, you can't get a 10-year mortgage. I said, that wasn't my question. I wanted to know what a 10-year mortgage was.
Mm-hmm.
They looked at it and it was $50 more per month. I said, that's what I want. They said, but you can't have it. I said, no, you can't give it to me.
Mm.
I think I'll go someplace else that might give it to me. Now, what ended up happening should never have happened, but it did. We go home, we go to a different bank. Our local bank calls this other bank. Well, we went into the bank and they said, do you want to come back and talk to us about the mortgage? I went, no, I got what I wanted someplace else. And they said, No, you didn't. I said, yes, I did. And they said, where'd you go? And I just answered abruptly, not even thinking, that's none of their business.
Hmm.
They called the bank and asked if we had applied for a loan for a mortgage. And they were told yes. In fact, it was all approved. They called us back and I wanted it. I thought if they want my business, they got to do something extra. So I asked them for something extra. In addition, I wanted it locked in for 10 years, which is the interest rates were 8%, if you can imagine back then.
Hmm.
Which they would die today if it was 8%. But anyway, guess what? We got it because I asked.
Hmm.
I bluffed, but I asked. And I got it.
And that's the power of
And how I
compounding.
got it was because I had a small business and somebody that worked in the banking industry told me that I could apply for a collateral loan. Now, collateral loan is very, very dangerous for some people because you miss one payment and you've lost it. And I said, that's what I want. They said, no, you don't want that. I said, yes, that's what I want. I did get it and we were fine because we made sure that we were going to be fine.
Hmm.
But anyway, sometimes just asking for some different things. And that kind of ties in a little bit with my fifth fact. I know you're shocked about this. Brazen little girl. Oh, gosh. Bob Proctor always says, in order for you to know, and this is just allergies going on here, in order for you to know, a goal in life, you not have to know first you have to know where you
Where you
are
are.
and where you're going.
Yeah,
What's your goal? Those are the two keys he believes that we need for success.
I agree.
So those are my 5 nuggets of wisdom, my pearls of wisdom. They're not the same for every advisor. A lot of times they'll talk about numbers and certain things, and I certainly do when I talk to people. But I wanted to give some other jewels that they could take some of this info and incorporate them. And you can't help everybody. Take that to the advisor they have and say, can you talk to me about this? Do you have that? I always suggest to my clients have a side gig, find some way to lower our taxes. We have tax rules and laws in place and use them to the best of to our own advantage.
Yeah.
Like they're
And
there. The rich do that all the time.
yeah.
Just as, for average people to learn that there's rules that they can use too, because we deserve the best too.
Of
And
course,
our
of course, of course, of course.
our
So,
success is guaranteed also.
so can you give us a quick summary of the 5 keys to abundance now? Just in quick summary.
Okay. First, I want to love myself.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I probably don't need to get into
No, just
much
get
more about.
summary. Yeah. So
Yeah.
first key is love
Okay.
yourself. What's number 2?
Number 2 is watching our words.
Okay, watch your words. Okay, number 3.
Yeah. Well, we kind of combined a little bit there about the laws of the universe itself and asking for what you want.
Mm-hmm.
Then we talked about and that our success was absolutely guaranteed.
Your success is guaranteed.
Want,
Okay.
right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Great. Okay, that's number 3. And
And
number
then
4.
we talked about the compounding.
That's one of the
Good.
the 8th wonder of the world of the
Yeah.
laws of
Yeah.
compounding. It can
Yeah.
work in your favor or against you, so you have to be careful of that. And number 5.
Well, I always like to talk about what Bob Proctor would say about the
Know where
2
you
most
are.
important things:
Yeah.
where you are and where you're going.
Awesome. Fantastic. Now, on that note, we're going to wrap this up. Lauralee, where can we find you? How can we connect with you on the internet?
Okay. Well, I have a website that we've just started working on, but it's there. It's lauraleekenny.com. And my email address is info@lauraleekenny.com. And I will tell you that if anybody wants, my goal is to give away some freebies for people. And one of the things that helped open my mind very much so was learning to ask for things.
Mm-hmm.
And so I do this little recording, and I have different recordings at different times, but in it, It's a recording just for you to just sit back and relax. You can play it softly anytime you want, but it's just to open your mind and say that you're welcoming any abundance whatsoever, because we want abundance in health, wealth, and happiness.
Mhm.
And so just open your mind to receive whatever it is that is in your heart, because it's there for us just for the asking.
Awesome. Fantastic. Thank you so much. So if you are listening to us on the podcast, the links that Laurelie has just mentioned will be in the show notes. And if you're watching us on YouTube, then down below in the description section, once again, we'll have the links to Laurelie. Do check her out. She is one kick-ass lady and someone I look up to. Thank you so much, Laurelie. It's been a fascinating conversation with you. Thank you for being such an amazing guest.
Thank you. Have a great day and a better tomorrow.
And thank you for listening to me and Lorelei today. I will be back with another amazing guest, finding out how you and I can build a better business so we can have more abundance. Until the next time we meet, this is Gull signing off. Take care and bye for now.